Oh, hi, friends. All right, so you know what time it is? It's Monday. You know what happens on Mondays? Mondays are Mando Mondays. We're going to talk all things Mando. We're going to talk all things going on. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a great time. Um, yeah, lots. It's been a big week. It's been a really big week in Star Wars. Let's not forget. Um, oh, I didn't know our emoji stuff was on. Yes, let's use that. Um, yeah, it's been a big week, man. A lot has happened. Star Wars got a fresh from Star Wars Celebration. Things ended today over there in London. They announced that 2025 Celebration will happen in Japan, and hopefully we're going to get to that one. That's a couple years away. We might have to do a non-official celebration in one of the easiest cities to get to, that being Vegas next year, maybe. So we'll have to see where we're at. I broke out my celebration 2022 gear for today's stream, being a celebration ended today. Yeah, so we're gonna talk a little bit about this, a little bit about that. There was a lot of interviews that happened this week over in London. Um, so yeah, it's a big, we're going to show maybe some footage from the Ahsoka. Oh shit. Yeah, we're going to show some footage that was released only at Celebration probably today. We're going to find that sheesh and we're going to look at it. We'll probably have to go to the tweeter to find that footage, and then we'll see if the rest of the kids show up. It's always around 5:30, 6 o'clock on Mondays. We're here as an alternative to whatever else you're watching out there. So come on in, hang out, pull up some couch, pull up some chair, pull up some sidewalk, and hang out with us. Put your comments in the chat so that we can talk about all the things you want to. But as we get started, I just want to say, a lot of people were unhappy about Celebration. The ongoing conversation for Celebration was, what are they celebrating? If last year was so bad and this season of Mando is so bad, what exactly are they celebrating? And then you have this amazing experience in London where we see Hayden on stage, we see Ewan on stage, we see Daisy make a return, we see Katie on stage, we see all of these actors playing these characters on stage. We've learned about Lars coming back for to play Thrawn. I keep saying this about Star Wars. Lucasfilm has got a really interesting way of rope-a-doping us, of making it seem like they're not going to do something, and then all of a sudden it happens. And Lars is one of those things that happened this week, that everybody thought was, everybody was really upset that we could potentially get a different voice for Thrawn in the upcoming shows, whether it be Mandalorian, we get our first hint, whether Ahsoka, that's the villain there. It's there's a lot to unpack as far as that's concerned, because I think Dave has a little more pull than any of the other directors and any of the producers and any of the other storytellers, because he worked on Rebels with these people for so long and they created such a iconic story leading back to Heir of the Empire. So for me it feels very Star Wars, in that all we heard was no, 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 no. And then all of a sudden he pops up on stage and it's a yes. This is how Star Wars does it. Look how long they kept the Luke return secret using different masks and such. It's a very they're very good at this game, and so I don't feel like anything is really off limits. I don't feel like there's a lot of, you know, there's always a lot of misdirection with these guys. And so we got to see Dave and John together doing an interview, listening to them talk. We got to listen to Kathleen talk. I know that upset a lot of people. Just having her there, but then there were so many great announcements. Tales of the Another Visions, Survivor. We saw, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Help me out, chat. Cal's character is Kyle. Is that am I right? We had a lot of surprises out there in London, and it looks like everybody had a pretty good time. There was a lot of Ray love going out there, which I enjoy. And yeah, a lot of content to create, a lot of upcoming stuff. Ahsoka dropping in August. We're finishing Mandalorian in 2 weeks, leading right into Survivor. Then we have what's coming out first? Is Visions coming out? I think Visions is coming out end of May or May 4th. We have some content already coming. So yeah, it's definitely a very exciting time to be back at Celebration. They're not doing one for 2 years, which is a huge bummer. So yeah, lots to come. We're gonna bring in the homies in a couple of minutes. I wanted to hear what you guys think about Celebration. Are you excited? We have our emoji rain, I think, is on. I need to change my perspective so it actually shows. There we go. All right, so let's do this. Let's get some thumbs up for, liking what you hear is coming at Celebration, or thumbs down, or anything of the negative persuasion if you're not excited and you think it was a big waste of time. In the meantime, there we go. Cameron, thank you. Cameron came on stage talking about how much he loves ponchos, how much we all love ponchos. And I feel like that was another fun moment. We're going to go through Twitter here in a little bit, and we're going to show a lot of these interviews are easier to find on the Twitter than they are anywhere else. Yeah, man. I'll use arm flex for yeah. There you go. Half and half works fine. Not everybody is hyped on what they're seeing out there. So I totally understand if we're not hyped about it. I think we're gonna switch sides over here. I think we're gonna do that. I think that's better. It's better for me anyway. All right, so yeah, let's start bringing in the homies. Let's start with everybody's favorite, because he's here. Oh, look who's here. Oh, what's up, dude? What's cracking? Did you catch any of the fun news?
I did. I noticed it's like a ghost town here. Everybody knows it's coming back. All the Marvel shit talking yesterday.
There's a lot of Marvel. There's a lot of Marvel shit talking going on. Yeah.
Homies in the building, and then what's up? Where's everybody at? Huh?
I mean, I talk shit about Marvel all the time. I mean, fuck Feige. I say it on a regular basis. Feige's magic is gone. It's on its way out, bro. And didn't you see?
Knew I was coming for him, so he's like, I'm not gonna be able to make it tonight.
Didn't you see? Didn't you see in She-Hulk, Kevin is a robot, just an AI. That's all Feige is. I saw it in a TV show. It's got to be real, right? That's really what happened.
It's the multiverse, man. It's a different.
It's a different show altogether. Look, I mean, there was a lot of fun stuff that happened at Celebration. I mean, to the extent that the little Leia actress was roasting Kenobi on stage as she's sitting Indian style in a chair she doesn't fit in. There was a lot of it seemed like they had a lot of fun over there. I'm kind of jealous that I didn't get to go and see a lot of this stuff in person, because it seemed like a lot of fun.
Probably not going to Japan either in a couple of years. So
I mean, I might be going to Japan. I mean, that sounds fun. My problem is always when celebration is. It's right in the heat of all of like the busy season for me. So
yeah,
it's hard to just be like, going to Japan. Peace out. See you in 2 weeks. Like that's kind of that's dedication right there. So, um, yeah, look, there's so much that came out of this week. We have a new Ray movie, we have a Dawn of the Jedi, we get an entire timeline that Dave and John, more Dave than John, have broken out, showing us the entire span that they're covering right now. And it's exciting stuff, man, to have a pre everything, the dawn of the force is kind of what it sounds like. That sounds exciting.
have
Sounds
you've been hiding from the Mando leaks in the meantime?
I haven't heard any of the stuff that apparently all the content creators have. I'm not really in those circles anyway. So I know that Josh at Den of Nerds has been teasing the fandom breaking over the next couple weeks just because of what's going to happen in Mando. Um, I heard it again on Twitter today about people like no spoilers, but so I really didn't catch anything, and I don't know if I'm really interested in doing it.
Nah, it's about to go crazy. I had a video out this morning, and last night. Can't keep up with where I'm putting these all, but just teasing that Star Wars Santa theory. I guess it's really his. I just kind of expounded off of it with the Mandalorians, um, being the ones that freed Moff
Yeah,
Gideon.
yep.
Um, but I, I mean, I heard the leaks, and without giving anything at all away, I think we got a 50-50 chance I was right on this one. I don't know
Well,
for sure from what they said. So
there are other sects of Mandalorian out there. There are other clans that have broken off and started doing their own thing. It seems like there's absolutely got to be some kind of conflict going on. To me, it just seems like a bit of a red herring.
yeah,
I'm hoping anyway that that it's really just Imperial remnants making making weapons out of Beskar, projectile weapons. We saw that in the previous season of Mandalorian in the Ahsoka episode. We learn shortly after that through the armor that Mandalorians don't really build weapons out of Beskar. It's more uh defensive than anything, more for protection. So yeah, it's an interesting thought. I'm curious to find out what happens. I'm curious if we're going to even see Moff Gideon in this next episode, or if they're going to wait again for the finale and show him, much like they did season one. I've been saying it for a while. This season feels a lot like season one, where we there is a bad guy. We know there's a bad guy, but we don't really know who or where they are until the last two episodes. That's kind of how I feel this season is going,
yeah.
um, which is fine by me. I know it sucks. It's been 2 years, and there's so much setup in this show that we're looking for payoff. But um, to set up this show for another couple seasons and then to a big cinematic like they were talking about at Celebration, I mean, that's kind of where they're leading. So there's got to be a lot of storytelling going on to get us to movie level interest.
From what I heard so far, it sounds like it's about to pop off these next two episodes. So, and they only really, I guess, like most of these leaks are coming from like the first 7 minutes or so of the next episode. So
Yeah,
it
I
feels
mean,
like it's about to go crazy.
you
So
could say that also about the last episode. Oh man, shit's about to pop off. The last 10 minutes
yeah,
is what it was. You know what I mean? Like that, I get it, but at the same time, I kind of feel like I've heard that story sung a whole bunch in the Mando space.
sounds like
Uh,
you're losing hope.
I'm not. I don't have any expectations. That's the difference between me and the rest of the fandom. I
Yeah,
don't come into this with any pre expectations. Yes, I like to make theories and I like to joke about what they should be doing, but I don't really come in with these big theory or these big expectations. I like to be surprised. I don't like to go in with leaks and spoilers and all that because I like to be surprised. I like for the storytellers to tell a story without me ruining it in advance. Um, but yeah, I feel like the last two episodes of the season are pretty much always fire. I mean, the last two episodes of season 2 were amazing, right? I mean, we got the last episode was obviously Death Troopers and Luke Skywalker, but even the episode before that, the last thing we see is Din Djarin repeating what Moff Gideon said to him in the previous season about Grogu. You know, like instead of it was he. Like, you have no idea what he means to me. You have no idea what you have in your possession. Like, this whole these last two episodes of every season. I mean, look what they did with Bad Batch. The last two episodes of Bad Batch, Dave knows how to end episodes.
Right.
That's one thing. Dave Filoni knows how to hook you for next season. Hearing that season 3 is going to be the final season of the Bad Batch, you know, that's I kind of figured we were coming to an end, but he knows how to end seasons to make you go, man, I want to see that. Man, I can't wait till they come back. So yeah, I feel like the reason that everybody is so negative in the space is because everybody expects their Star Wars. Everybody expects their way, instead of just letting the storyteller surprise you, right? I
Right.
think that, and I think Marvel has the same problem. I think, oh, this isn't like the comic book. Well, who gives a shit? Go read the comic book,
Right.
right? I mean, that's just my perspective. If you don't like it, go make something, right? That's the thing is I'm enjoying the armchair directors, no longer armchair quarterbacks.
Who is this?
No longer. Oh, there's Dan. Hold on, I hear him in the background. Um,
Change his name to you?
he's like, "Who's this?" Oh no,
Oh,
that was
this.
Hawks.
Does
I could change it right now. Watch.
that mean he's stalking us? Like
Um,
a show?
the show you. Um, but yeah, I mean, look, it's for me this the fandom's expectations is what ruins Star Wars, right? It has nothing to do with the way that they're doing this or the way they're doing that. It's that you expect them to put everything in this little box that you love. And instead they're doing other stories. Look, I love Ahsoka. I love the novel. I think the novel is the perfect script to write. Dave took that book and basically wiped his ass with it. He's like, "Oh, yep, we're not going to do that. That was a great story. We're going to take like 19 things from it and 19 words from the whole thing, um, and
I was
move on."
basically salivating at the mouth watching you guys talk about that and go through everything the other day too, you bastards. but
Did he though?
I was dying. I was dying watching you guys talk about that.
Which part specifically?
Like all of it. I was like, I was sitting there. I'm like, I'm typing in shit. I'm like, no, this, no. It
Yeah, I mean, look,
was a hell of a weekend. Man.
it was a hell of a weekend. It was a hell of a week for Celebration. It was a hell of a week for Mando.
I still push back on that Ahsoka book part.
I mean, look, he took.
Until Dave says it's a retcon.
I
No
mean,
proof
look,
that's the Inquisitor she killed with the kyber crystals, right?
Well-
Isn't that the scene?
yeah, I mean, that's. I hope that.
So in theory, he's retconning how she got the kybers.
I mean,
He's got to retell it in live action.
he's retconning. I mean, it's not really a retcon if the books aren't canon, but he's basically taking that book, pulling a couple of pieces of it, not calling it Rada, not um not going through the whole process of the Inquisitor hunting her, sensing the little Jedi, so on and so forth, and then eventually her getting her kyber and building her crystals or her sabers on the run. Instead, it seems like he went through with the Tales of the Jedi, the final episode, and basically used that as the entire story there. And instead of her, sneaking onto Bale's ship, she calls Bale to her to rejoin the rebellion. So for me, it's
Okay, so that part in the book where she gets like the transponder from him, that happens on his ship, not at the
no
funeral.
in
Or
the book. There's no funeral. In the book, there's
gotcha.
no Padme funeral. Once she defeats the Inquisitor, she takes his crystals, makes a couple of quick sabers. That's why they look so ratty. That's why they don't look like traditional sabers. They look,
That's why I feel like that scene in the animation's not gonna trump that other stuff.
I mean, look, I would love to see that in live action. I just don't, unless,
I think it was more or less Easter eggs, like, oh, here's a village that she was at and tried to hide at. An Inquisitor found her.
well,
I
I mean,
mean,
and
very
that's,
similar stories, but now, I mean, just follow me. If this Ahsoka trailer is another Inquisitor, that's like 3. So
well, the
maybe the
Inquisitor,
Force is just guiding her to Inquisitors.
well, the Inquisitor in the Ahsoka trailer tracks with the Inquisitor we saw fall to his death
Possibly.
in what
I
was
like
it?
that.
Twilight of the Apprentice or
Yep.
whatever,
Clone
whatever.
Wars, where it's like
Uh,
Maul,
the
Ezra,
Rebel.
everybody fighting together.
It's yeah, that's the one
Yeah.
where Maul and all them are fighting on the on the pyramid, basically, on the battle
Mhm.
station, and then his saber malfunctions and he falls. Everybody assumes he dies. We see him in the trailer, what looks like a spitting image of him in live
Same
action.
helmet,
Same
potentially. Yeah.
helmet, same outfit, the whole Megillah, same lightsaber, um, fighting Ahsoka in
Mhm.
live action. So it seems like they're tracking with all that stuff. I mean, he failed. I would hope to see he has a metallic body part at this point, right? Because Vader is not forgiving when people fail. Um, and
Yeah,
so
I didn't actually look at the limbs in the trailer, but that's a good point.
I mean, honestly, I'm curious if that dude, kind of waited out Ahsoka to find her when she came out from hiding. There's a lot about this
Yeah.
story, specifically the droid at the end,
Oh,
our saber master. For me. I'm curious if that's how we're going to get the flashback in live action. If he's going to say, "Give me your sabers to examine them," and
Right.
be like, "Well, this is an interesting design."
well,
Mhm.
two things on that. In Rebels, when Ezra saves her world between worlds, we don't see her again after that in that show, right?
No, we see her at the very end credit scene.
So what if that's where this show picks up?
That's what I hope.
Yeah.
My grand hope is that she has been on Malachor for this entirety of since Vader lost her. Oh, and I just want to make sure you guys know. So I saw something today. I'm gonna do this real quick. It's Ashoka, not Ahsoka, right? It's Ashoka, not Ahsoka. It's not Ahsoka. It's Ahsoka. Okay, it's not like Leviosa, not Leviosa. Just putting that out there.
So back to what we're talking about Ahsoka. Um, now the other thing was
I think I did that.
with these two new orangey guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shin and Butlan.
Balin.
Balin. Mm-hmm.
Shit and Butlan. We're
Balin Greyjoy.
So I think I got a good theory about these guys, and it actually coincides with what you guys were talking about. Was it yesterday or the day before? Yesterday.
That was Saturday.
Saturday. Was it? Okay, I keep thinking yesterday. For
Yeah,
some reason.
Saturday.
Anyway, you guys mentioned it. I've heard a bunch of other people mentioning it. That it looks like that's Kanan's lightsaber that she's using. Correct.
Very similar. Very
Okay, so
similar.
let's bring the dots back now, if that is true. And she bled that in whatever way that she did.
Mhm.
In order to have that happen, she would have to get that lightsaber from Thrawn and his fleet that are in the Beyond, correct? So,
Well, we never really saw what happened to Kanan's lightsaber uh, after Rancor. What is the little Rancor? Um,
Mm.
but the assumption is it's with Thrawn.
no, because he got disarmed before they left the dome. So before they get on Lothbat look-alike gliders, he's disarmed and his lightsaber falls off of the dome.
I gotta rewatch all of this.
And we never see it. We see it again when Thrawn's lackey is like, here, and so yeah, he has it. We just don't know if it got exploded in the dome.
So
Or
for
if
all intents and
took
purposes, to make my theory stronger, I'm going to go ahead and say that she had to get that from Thrawn in the Beyond.
could be.
And then also, going to back up my position that I don't think these two, like Dark Jedi, whatever you want to call them, are like fallen Jedi. I think they're their own separate form of Jedi from the Beyond. That's why their sabers are orange. And I think
Right.
they're back in like the main like galaxy, trying to pave the way for Thrawn to come back, secure what he needs to like his ships. Like I think they're playing a part in doing that and helping like his, because if you think about
I
like
love it.
yeah, like all the things that he has in the Beyond, he's basically, rumor has it, he's built up a war machine in the Beyond that he's ready to bring back to the Empire now, but he
Right.
needs a way to get him there, or some. I don't know, piecing it together
Well,
in my head, building the theory.
and Dave had a conversation. We can find it on Twitter. Basically, Dave did an interview on the carpet talking about the orange sabers, and one of the interviewers was like, "What's up with the orange sabers?" And he's like, "Oh, you noticed that? You're the first person to ask me about it. I didn't make them bright red because they're not traditional Sith, or they're not traditional this or that." Here's my question. We don't know the age span of Chist, number one, right? So we don't know Thrawn's the age capabilities of his race. So for all we know, Thrawn's people can live way longer than a standard humanoid. What if this is out there?
Let's go there.
The old man with the orange kyber crystal is really Ezra aged, like an old man Ezra. We're expecting this young.
Is that who you were saying it was Sunday or Saturday?
No, I said it was George Clooney. I said it was George Clooney that was
No, you're saying it could have
No.
been an aged Cal
Cal
Kestis as well.
That's who
old
he
man
was saying.
Kestis. I mean, we don't know what happened in the Great Beyond between Thrawn and Ezra, but it's
You would be implying that time works differently in certain areas of the universe.
But that's yes, and Star Wars has never really talked about that kind of conversation where hyperspace and time as a bubble. But could
I like
that
Nerd
be
Mafia's theory more.
could that be old man Ezra and his apprentice? Right?
His name is Balon, actually, sir.
Yes, yes. But I mean, could it be Darth Balon? And people
I don't
change.
think they're a Darth. I don't think they've got any ties to Jedi or Sith. I mean, the Padawan braid kind of makes me sound dumb saying that, but at the same time, if you think about it, it's all still one galaxy. It is possible that at some point someone was influenced by the Jedi, or they split ways across the galaxy, and this is their interpretation.
Well, and it seems like with Survivor,
I think that's a cool story too.
the waking of old Jedi seems to be a constant, a story that they're looking into. So, my initial thought, based on looking at the armor, based on all that stuff, could this be somebody from the era of the Tar Vizsla? Could this be somebody really old? He's got gauntlets on. They look a lot like Ahsoka's gauntlets, but they also look a little bit Mandalorian. He's got pauldrons on. Their armor is very not like either old Jedi or Mandalorian. It looks their armor looks old. So I don't feel like Thrawn and his new shiny ships and all that necessarily leads to like old Jedi, old Sith, old Force users. Um, if it is a world between worlds backlash, right? Because for every good there has to be a bad, for every light there has to be a dark. Is this, the wills or the forces reaction to Ahsoka being pulled out of time?
So this is kind of where
Yeah.
I'm going with it. I'll bounce off what you're saying there. The biggest question that I've always wanted answered is, so if the force awakens in people, right, to balance the light side, or the light is balancing the dark regardless of what we think is going to happen. When Palpatine gets removed from that equation and there's that ripple or that moment in the force where he is deceased or essence transferring or
The
whatever
vacuum?
happened, you want to tell me that a force user like Obi-Wan can sense an entire planet dying, but someone who's in tune with the dark side is not going to notice that presence being eliminated from the equation?
Well, I mean, look at
I
Maul.
hope that these guys are like, because he says war, he says something about filling in like that gap, basically, more or less. So
Well,
I
I
would
mean,
hope that they are the new people coming in to try to take over that part of the galaxy
look at
from
Maul.
wherever
I
they're
mean,
from.
we hear Maul talking to Ahsoka as it's happening, right? He's like, I sense the change has already begun. I sense things have already started. Maul felt it. Ahsoka felt it from so far away. She lost track of Anakin. She, she felt it. Yoda felt it. I like that. I think if there are Jedi, or if there are Force users that look to take power, what an opportunity to do it during the vacuum where there is no power consuming the galaxy. I'm curious if it's, if they're as stupid as this is going to sound so stupid. This is probably the stupidest thing I've ever said on here. What if it's like Time Cop and these are guardians of the world between worlds, and Ahsoka being out of place is like
They're the
why they're
TVA, bro.
after her, right? TVA, yeah, exactly. Similar to
I like it.
that, not necessarily, you know, um, or I mean, there's so much.
Whoever they work for, regardless, knows this is an important temple. When you see the scene when she gets attacked by the droids, if you go back and watch it, the hole is in the floor. So it's after she leaves, she gets
Right,
these droids summoned upon her. So
right.
she uh is, I think, leaving with some form of knowledge they don't want her to have. Again, would be a reason why they're protecting this area. They want this knowledge not to be known to anybody but who they are or who they work for.
See,
I
I
don't
looked through the
necessarily need
trailer.
them to be somebody. I'm just curious their motives, where they're from,
That's what
how
I was
long they've
gonna.
been there.
If you look through the trailer for their motives, though, you see them for sure, like attacking like a New Republic soldier, right?
Hmm.
And then
That ship.
I was arguing with Santa earlier in a member stream. Like I thought that I saw Shin like deflecting an Imperial blaster, but he said it was I still think it was Imperial.
Well, and
So
and is her ship the ship so there's a lot of scenes that only got aired at Celebration, right? There's a scene of Sabine on a speeder, uh, riding down that two-way road out of town, right? And we see the city of Lothal in the background, but there's a ship on the road that she has to dodge. It looks like Shin's ship. We never get to see Shin's ship, but we get to see the cockpit of the ship and get to kind
Hmm.
of see the outline.
Definitely a single fighter.
Definitely a single fighter style ship. Um, but there's also a few other scenes that we really, that we didn't get to see because we weren't there. But there's, that's the thing about Celebration is they always do this kind of stuff where they release, exclusives, and then the phones.
Shin ship, Shin ship, Shin ship, Shin
Yeah,
ship.
it's shin ship shin shim chim chim
Yeah.
chim chimney chim chim churu chim. Um, but yeah, I mean, like this is here. I'll share this. Like this is one of the this is one that broke the internet. This image of where did it pull up? Yeah, of Ray pregnant outside of
Oh
Tatooine.
God.
This one broke the internet. Everybody's losing their mind there. Let's see what else.
Just waiting for old man Luke to pop up. Like, get the hell out of my hut.
Get out of
This
my
is so
yard,
fake,
kid.
right? Question mark. Like people are worried.
People are legit worried. Okay, so here's the other one.
I mean, I'd like that. Maybe they actually like got rid of the whole stupid Jedi can't have attachment thing that it seemed like we were away from.
It's not gonna go the way you think, bro. They're gonna say that's some Force babies.
Yep,
You
yep.
put inside or outside.
Oh, that's yeah,
So
that's
people don't
Kylo
want
Ren.
that.
I hope they don't get corny and shit like that.
That's Kylo Ren's son, bro.
Man, yeah, I mean,
I'm not even like when I think about sequels, I'm not mad about the characters. I'm not mad about. I am mad about. I don't like the way that played out. It just crushed all my dreams as from childhood. But just
it's
the
poetry,
story just
bro.
it wasn't hitting, man. No. First off, you don't announce that you're force sensitive. Nobody says that. Not even like say force sensitive that I ever remember in a movie anyway. And
What are you talking
it's
about?
like,
When that happened? What happened?
what did he shout out? Then
Be
he didn't say
specific.
force
What are you
sensitive.
talking about?
When Finn just like yells out like
No,
his
he
whole like
never
thing
had the
he had to
chance to
tell her.
say it. He never
He
got the
told
opportunity to
her
say
something
it.
by the end of the movie.
You
Who'd he tell?
misremembered, bro. Nope.
I don't know. I was just
Never got
angry.
that opportunity.
He said so. He admitted it to somebody.
What, that he's
Dude.
force sensitive?
Yeah.
No, he never did.
No,
At
unless
the
you're
end of the
talking
movie, he
about
said it to somebody.
unless you're talking about the Lego movie.
Yeah, bro.
Was it really?
You're
I mean,
confusing continuities.
yeah, I think
See,
it's
this is why.
My kids got me watching so many different things
the
now.
only place that it's ever been outright mentioned or outright implied was the Lego movie.
He never finished his thought ever in that whole movie. Why am I remembering that he did?
He never talks about him having the Force. He talks about the Force. He talks about what Rey tells him about the Force, but he doesn't ever say I have the Force.
Like he shouts out he wants to tell her. I could have swore by the end of that movie. I just rewatched it like a month ago. I could have swore.
No,
watch it again.
Kenobi in the Lego movie mentions it. He mentioned something about Finn being Force sensitive.
My kids also made me watch that movie. Maybe I'm really getting jacked up.
What's up?
Yeah, no, there were definitely multiple hints and never got paid off because of JJ. I mean,
KK. I mean, what?
Yep. I guess just don't attach people to Star Wars with duplicate initials.
There was definitely
no
potential
AA,
with
no
it, too.
BB, no CC, no.
It was cooler stuff. Cooler vibes.
Well, let's see. Who did I trigger in chat? Everybody? Sick.
Get him watch. You got him?
Don't think about it too much. Right? Isn't that what they say over there? Half you guys in this channel. Or whatever the connection's called. You know what it's called, Vito. You know what it's called.
It's called a dyad, bro.
Stop
Say
being cynical.
The word of the day.
You're not a
Anyway,
real fan.
I don't want to talk about this crap. I want to talk more about Ahsoka anyway. That was cool.
Yeah, let's go talk about Mando. How
Well,
everybody
look,
loves that.
I mean, because
I do. I'm loving where I think it's going. So,
I mean, look, this
Spices
season of
on the heat.
Mando, everybody has had a real hard time with the pacing, with the maybe the weird stories, much like last week's episode. I enjoyed the shit out of it. Bo Din, droid detectives, like for me, that was like an episode of Rescue Rangers. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And then they finished, they capped it off with an excellent fight scene, probably the best non-lightsaber fight scene I think we've ever had. So, at this point, it's, like everybody said, it's going to pop off. I feel like it already popped off. Yes, Lizzo and Jack Black were probably not the best addition to the cinematic universe that is Star Wars. But there was Christopher Lloyd's character, I think, disappointed people. Again, everybody's expectations were that he was going to be a Mandalorian chieftain. And
No, why? You cowards.
But look, I mean, but
should have had 2 dark sabers that twirled around his head.
But he.
I found an awesome. Oh, that's who I always thought.
I actually love
like
that
the
he
judge from Toontown.
Yes, he's the judge.
Bro, I loved
No, but
that he
that's what your
was.
voice sounds like.
Oh yes, that's exactly the pitch I was going for.
I memed him
Think
like, or
about
I
it.
put up a meme where he's saying like, if I press this
People-
button, your all dip is gonna get dumped on the city. Yeah. Yeah, then it says like Bo's like, see, no, we're not tunes, right? And then
Right?
Mando is like, Din's like, shh, let him go with it for a minute.
Yeah, right. Look, I mean, look, a lot of people are,
I
I
forgot what I was
mean,
gonna say. You
I,
bastard.
I have I have been
Good,
reading
good.
that a lot of people are calling, almost Bo-Katan a Mary Sue, right? I've seen a little bit of that rumbling. Like, why do we
Listen,
go?
right there though. Any fan who has not seen any of that animated bullshit, she's a Mary Sue. So you can take that to the bank and cash it.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
it.
look,
That's it.
look.
That's half the fandom. There's probably more than half the fandom that have not seen the animated Clone Wars.
Well, I
I'm
mean, the
sorry,
animated.
but like, I don't call people this ever, but like, if you're looking at that ass and not expecting her to be able to do whatever she wants to, then you might be an incel. I'm sorry. Like, why would you ever complain about that woman?
Predictable.
Like,
Well,
damn.
and because a lot of people feel like they are,
Just
and I
Fox worthy.
and I'm seeing this everywhere. And yes, Kathleen does stick her giant foot in her mouth. Um, in regards to, yes, we are going to have more female leads. I think that's great. I think actually saying that is kind of the mistake instead of just doing it. Some things you say publicly, some things you do. But
Well, I think they've been saying it. So at this point,
yeah, and
you
she's
got to
just
put the proof where you got
well, an
to start.
Acolyte has a female lead.
Mhm. Dope female
Ahsoka
lead.
is a female lead with a lot of female characters.
Dude, a
Um,
female lead and Trinity. Like, damn.
well, and then I mean, the and then Ray's movie, obviously
Mhm.
Ray. So yeah, there's a lot of female leads coming, but if you're looking at this story, Din Djarin doesn't want to lead, right? He just wants to be him, right? And we see him evolve from this, bounty hunter to, a leader in his own right. People are starting to follow him. Yes, he may not be king, but yeah, I mean, you got to watch them both.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, even if you don't want to watch the whole thing, Disney does this awesome thing where if you go to their page, here, I'll even show you because I don't care because I don't think they're going to cancel me for showing shit. Like, if you're going to cancel me and like come after my stream for showing how to use
Coming.
your website,
I
I
already reported you.
great. Oh, dude. Yeah. Okay. So here is the Star Wars website. Okay. Now you go here to this Star Wars page,
This is
and then
actually Disney Plus website.
this is Disney Plus's website. Yes, this is Disney Plus. Sorry, this isn't
Don't want
Disney's.
to mislead people.
Didn't want to mislead you. Now they have a whole section here called Ahsoka Tano Essentials, and it's all the episodes in
Was that
order.
newer?
It just came out this week when they
Nice.
showed the trailer. It shows you all the episodes of her in chronological order.
I might have to have my wife do this one because she's
So all the Rebel
struggling with the
stuff,
animated.
all the season 7 Clone Wars stuff,
Hmm.
and then fast forward to the Mandalore stuff, and then Tales, and then Rebels, and then Mando.
Should be a Bo-Katan essentials in
As a matter of fact, there are more essentials.
there. Hey,
Return to
Hmm.
Mandalore, Bad Batch, Star Wars Clone Wars essentials, stuff that you should know, right? They have the shorts, but then up here at the top, there's a Mandalorian section, right? So they do this periodically to give you an opportunity to catch up on what's coming, right? Oh, you don't know much about Ahsoka? Here's a whole section, right? And they're really good at that. So there's no excuse to not catch up to where we are. So yeah, man, there's always room to catch up. Specifically I'm curious if we are going to see Moff Gideon in this episode coming up, in Wednesday's episode, tomorrow night's episode, really.
You're Moff curious.
I'm Moff curious.
Do you think I know we kind of flew over the controversial cameo stuff, but do you think there's other separatists still plotting? Do you think they have enough of a following to cause some actual problems and that come up as like a third faction somewhere?
No, because I feel like a lot of the separatists ended up becoming rebels. Right? Because they were right the whole time. That's the thing about the separatist movement, is they were right.
Well, he was still kind of sounding loyal to Dooku. So I was just like,
well, but also think about this guy for a second. He is a what do you call it?
Elderly time traveler.
He is in charge of a droid working force, much like the separatists worked with droids in that way. I felt that vibe from Jump Street on this planet. Well, all the droids work. Humans don't work at all, right? All the droids work. Honestly, if you watch the episode again, when the cooking droid goes crazy and starts spinning his knives everywhere, he grabs his face because he's about to start laughing. Like, if you really go back and watch it, like right in that moment, he's like he covers his face because he could see the smile.
It could have been that just, Din Djarin was making a funny face too.
Behind him. But yeah, so he, this guy is already and then you bring in this Imperial, right, who is basically a galactic, the Republic person, the separatist. He's a separatist, so it seems like his hate kind of started when this reconditioned Imperial arrived on the planet, and becomes in a position of authority.
Awoken the sleeper soldier in him.
Well, and I mean, yeah, he was obviously a part of the separatist movement because you had the Techno Union nano droids, which we saw in Clone Wars. And
I love how she just shoots him in the middle of his speech. She's like,
yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm done with you. Like, I'm going to give you to the count of 3. Like, put your weapon down, or I'm going to kill you.
There's no warning.
Bo doesn't care, man, and that's why I think a lot of people misunderstand what they're doing here. Dave is he's fucking brilliant, man. I know everybody got a lot of hard on for Filoni. Everybody loves their Favreau, right? And feel like Favreau was the savior of Star Wars and this and that. I've been on the Filoni bus the whole time. I've been driving.
He did that with the help of Filoni. He didn't just come and do Mando all by himself.
And he actually, as much as everybody hates Kathleen Kennedy, the only reason Dave Filoni is at the level he's at right now is because Kathleen put these two people together, right? I mean,
yeah, but they also are in like the messes that they're in, because there's a big difference. Like, there's not a parallel between that, because Jon Favreau came out and said, "Hey, I want to do this show and I need your help.
Right.
How this should go." And then Kathleen Kennedy said, "Hey, you're trying to do this show and I like it. This is how it should go."
Well, I mean, look, the thing
there's a difference between that.
Is that Dave is the storyteller, right? Dave understands Star Wars like nobody else does. And the only other person,
he should be the gatekeeper.
He should be the gatekeeper. I also feel like being busy writing Ahsoka, casting Ahsoka, storyboarding all this, he can't keep his eye on everything at once, right? If you're going to make this guy
where he got promoted to, he is supposed to be
right. But at the same time, that's what I'm saying. If you're going to be the guy, you shouldn't be directing.
You can
Nerd Mafia, you watched us talk about this and the whole interview with KK. How many goddamn times does she have to say Dave Filoni for you to believe her that he is in control of the goddamn story?
Yeah, she's saying that now. But you're
he has
revisionist history. If you watch the interview with her in the past,
she's saying that he has been.
That has not always been her tone.
Well, no,
Definitely has
because
happened.
But
So
because
I get what
what
you
is her
guys are
okay,
saying.
but again, now just correct me again. What's her tone been?
Have you ever seen an interview where she's referred to him like that many times? Ever? Or ever
What are the
spoken or given
questions
that
being
much?
asked to her in the interview?
She didn't even get asked about him in this interview. She brought his name, dropped him every time, but she's never done anything
Because
like
she's
that
being asked
before.
about story.
well, and he is
And
She's
every
also
asked
time
about
she's
story
asked
before.
about story, she diverts to the people who have been in charge of the story.
right, and the fact that
So
Dave even
I
sits.
I just hate people blaming her when she's really
I'm not.
too high above that. I think that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, look, she's a coach. She's not a player anymore,
It's
right?
not too high, but like you've heard all the stories coming out talking about like the static between like Favreau and her, where there's rumors that he wanted to walk off at one point because of how
From
much she
Dude,
wanted
Trust
to
Me, Bro.
expand. Yeah,
Well, but
dude,
at the
trust me,
same,
bro, is getting a lot of press, bro. Like,
but at the
just
same,
saying.
but at the same time,
Bad press.
we've also heard John come out in interviews lately saying, "Look, Kathleen doesn't boss us around. Kathleen doesn't dictate story. We're dictating story." Right? Like they've come out publicly in magazine articles and Variety and things like that saying she doesn't micromanage. We are in charge of story. We're doing story. She is simply listed as an executive producer because that's where she was when we started this journey,
And the
right?
sequels, sure, she
Yeah,
greenlit that.
yeah.
Everybody, but again, everybody at Lucasfilm was on board with that, Dave included. So to sit here and say
Right.
Kathy is the
He wasn't
problem,
really in a
like,
position to.
No, he wasn't in a position of authority, but he was still in the back of the room. I
but you
mean, he
don't
was
think that
busy
he's
doing
the
Rebel.
smartest guy at Lucasfilm? He talks to George Lucas every day. He is the second coming. People ask him every single day
Yeah, and
if he thinks this is the right choice.
I think that doing his own show is a lot, right? Making your own show, directing your own show, handling the logistics of your own show is a lot that Dave has never done. He's done an episode here, he's done an episode there, but really he's never had this kind of, responsibility as far as making a movie. Um,
And I'll double down on people's
Double
misblame
dog dare
of
you
the
to do it.
problem because it's every time an interview comes out that's not Dave. Literally anytime Bob Iger says something, people are they blame him for the choices being made. But if KK says something the next month, she's now getting the finger pointed at her for being the decision maker. So actually the people pointing the fingers have no idea who's making the decisions. And now that KK is like, no, listen, like these two are in control of the story,
well,
everyone's losing their minds. When in
Kathy
actuality, it's been that way the entire time.
Kathleen is a CEO. I mean, we've been through this on this channel a lot. Kathleen's a CEO.
That's where the buck
She's
stops. She might not make the stories, but she makes the direction.
well,
Billions of dollars. They don't
she,
care about
she's in charge of way more
opinions.
than just story, right? She is the
I'm
bottom
not
line.
saying she's in charge of the story. I'm saying if she comes out and says like, "I need Grogu in this project," then they're gonna find a way
Yeah,
to work their story to make that happen.
I
That's
don't
You
know.
think
the
so?
power
You
she
really
knows.
believe that? You think that's the power that she has and she's going to throw that
How would
around?
how would you not think she has that power?
I think she
Because she
has.
can't, because that is a terrible business decision and she's not making business decisions like that. Grogu doesn't fit in every story. For
You
one,
can't, but you can't say you don't know that's never happened.
Well, look,
you are saying that it does happen or would.
I'm
she is.
saying if she wanted to, she can make that happen.
She
You're acting
absolutely
like
Which I
can.
she doesn't have
disagree
the
with
power to do that.
1,000%.
She can
That would
make
never happen.
suggestions, but as a CEO, to micromanage your company is foolish, right? Like you can't come in and say,
Therein lies why people have issues and why they see things going a certain way, why they accuse her of doing certain things. That's where the whole premise of the argument is.
okay,
But
so
if you
here,
you can't sit back and
what-
say like she definitely doesn't have the power to
so
do it. I'm not saying she did, but
Vito, Kathleen's a CEO. Her responsibility is to make the board of directors money. That is her sole job as Lucasfilm at the board of directors for Lucasfilm. Kathleen has a seat as the president and CEO. Her
Lucasfilm
job,
publicly traded too.
I'm pretty sure. No, Disney owns it, and Disney's the mother company.
So you're describing Bob Iger's job right now.
No. Even though Marvel still has their own board of directors because they are considered a separate entity at Disney, right?
Yeah.
So when you're looking at all of the things that Disney owns, Bob Iger doesn't dictate what ESPN does because he owns it, because Disney owns it. He doesn't say,
He
here's what
doesn't micromanage, but he macromanages
exactly.
it,
He
which
doesn't micromanage,
includes
but
putting
every
out an outline for a direction you want things
sure,
to go.
based
Maybe
on what
not saying how to get there.
based on what the board of directors says. Now, Lucasfilm has the same setup. Every company does.
Yeah.
Even though they're owned by other companies, they still have a board of directors. She is still a CEO. A CEO's job is to manage the
Google's
company
your friend too, Vito.
on behalf of the board. So on behalf of Lucasfilm's board, they look to her as the leader of Lucasfilm. And then she has vice presidents and people and so on and so forth. So her job as the CEO is to make the board money. Her job isn't to dictate story, to dictate characters, to dictate this. She got promoted beyond that. She now reports to the board of directors on why this project or this project isn't making money, or why this project and this project is over budget and over timeline. Her job is a mediator between upper management and lower management. She is actually in the middle. Everybody has a boss. Everybody in television has a boss.
And in that entire interview, she's literally telling us everything we need to know, bro. She's sitting there telling you that they made a decision to do some Star Wars stories in series because they can tell more in-depth, isolated stories about those parts of the universe. They realize you can't do that with every character. That's why they're going to make a big shift to go back to cinema. She said all that. We talked about all of it.
That's great, dude. But we've been waiting to hear that for like 5 years now. We haven't had a
because every time she gets a mic put in front of her face, someone's asking her, bro, I'm going to get heated. But every time she's in an interview,
hold on.
Because every time she's in, if I can get a word in, every time she's in an interview, someone goes, why is the Force female? Why is the Force female? Who's your next female?
She said that's not
They've
true,
not asked her these real questions until Celebration, bro.
Yes. Okay.
It's your job if you don't like the question to change the premise of the question. She's had long ass interviews.
No, the job is to answer the questions.
Variety all the time the past 5 years.
But she's the face of the company. The same way Dana White is the face of the UFC and the president of the UFC, she is the same thing. She is the mouthpiece for the company. That is part of her job. Her job is to do interviews. Her job is to do PR.
You think Dana White likes all the questions?
I agree heavily. Her job is to do that, and I think she finally did it in that interview. But I haven't seen her like that ever in the past.
Well, look,
I haven't seen her
haven't had anything to say. They've been planning, bro. They've had literally nothing to say. They've saved it all for Celebration.
Time out. Number one, as a CEO, her job is to follow the directions set by the board. The board decided 5 years ago that Disney Plus was where they were going in the direction they were heading. So, as a company, they decided we are going to push D Plus as far as we can, which means no more movies, no more Star Wars movies, even less Marvel movies than we had before, and more shows that will air on Disney Plus. The obligation of Disney.
Marvel movies didn't drop off like that, though.
They're not as many as there were the first. There were not
a
as
year, and that was it, and they were back at it.
But still, there was a slowdown in production and an increase in television shows. Right? How many television shows versus movies did Marvel make that weren't on the books already? Is my point.
Marvel kind of went the opposite. They spread themselves too thin doing
both. Okay, but my point is Disney Plus was the platform that they focused on, and there's been many interviews going according to that narrative. The narrative of the board is that they put all this money into.
I get the way the structure was. Disney came down and basically had her go that. I'm saying you guys are all about it coming out with that interview, but we have never had an interview like that from her, or just any concise statement on their plan or purpose. You can't point to that and be like, aha, gotcha.
But a movie
wasn't asking for that for 5 years.
A movie wasn't planned. That's what I'm saying is they had no intention of doing a movie for.
And what have people been saying? Like ever since the sequels started coming out, there's no plan. So like you're saying the same shit that everybody else is saying.
There is a plan. The plan was Disney Plus. The plan was to make Kenobi a TV show, to make Boba a TV show, to create The Mandalorian as a TV show for Disney Plus. Acolyte, Rangers of the Republic, Lando, all of these
They had a plan.
projects were designed to promote Disney Plus, not to make movies. Lucasfilm was directed. No movies right now. Nothing but a streaming TV show that we can market 28 minutes 8 times a year, right? That's exactly what Disney was ordering from Lucasfilm. It's not just KK going, no more movies.
I've never once
right?
argued.
But
that
at the same
you're
time, she's
wrong.
finally able. But she's finally able to promote movies. She's finally able to say, "Here's the plan for the movies. Dave is in charge of this particular project, leading this way. We have new stories with these directors and these writers.
Well, and not to mention, they have already now cut out their little nice piece of pie at Disney Plus. They've got Visions solidified. They got Bad Batch solidified. They have live action shows coming down the pipeline. Now they can talk about movies.
Right.
You're asking for interviews that would have literally had nothing to say in them, bro.
But then
if you want to talk about the previous interviews,
let me remind you how this whole talk just began, right? You came out and said, "Ha, look, it's all there." She's referring to Dave.
I didn't say, "Ha, look." This was not a gotcha.
You said it with that tone, though.
Sure, because I'm getting pissed off that people are blaming KK, and she's literally telling you people Dave's in control of the story. That's all I said.
Yes.
Yeah, and Dave hasn't necessarily been in control of the story for 10 years. He's only had this promotion maybe 3 or 4 years, right? Maybe. I mean, at the best, Dave has only had this position a couple of years.
He's sitting on the porch.
We don't even know that.
He's sitting on the porch with George Lucas every goddamn
remember
weekend.
They told us that he when that announcement came out that he got that position, it was long after the fact, and we never got.
Yeah. He had it for a while, giving them room to start their project.
So back to how we just started this position. She's telling you right now that he's been going to. Why not just come out of that and announce that when it happened?
When?
I don't know, because I don't know when he got hired in that position. You see my point?
That's on Dave too, bro. He said himself he didn't want it to be some big.
She is the PR person in charge.
If I can finish, he said himself he didn't want it to be some big goddamn announcement. He said that.
It's the transition in leadership doesn't
mean shit to him
at that lower level. Doesn't necessarily make public news until after the fact. I mean,
it meant a whole lot to a whole lot of Star Wars fans,
right? But again,
and shareholders, I imagine too.
It's not for us; it's for the shareholders. Unless you're a shareholder, they're not making announcements for us. They're making announcements for shareholders. They're making announcements based on their agenda. There could have been a corporate reason, a contractual reason that they didn't announce that when they announced it. Maybe because of somebody else's contract needed to be done. Maybe an NDA needed to be signed before these things could go into effect. There's a lot of corporate business stuff that we don't understand as fans that they have to go through before they can make these announcements, before they can put people on blast, before they can release people who have been let go from whatever position they were in before. The big announcements, Iger, CEOs, board members, those are announcements we hear in Variety. You're not going to hear Dave Filoni getting a promotion as this big thing until Celebration, right? Because I think that's when it broke, is when Celebration that year happened, or right before.
Ago, at least, right?
Well, it was 2 years.
It was time to announce it too.
Right,
as there's to be ready when he's present, when he's able to talk about it in public.
Well, and once the platform had also evolved a little bit. This was also very early on in Mando season 1. Disney Plus had just become a thing. They had just ripped all of their content off of Netflix. Everybody was asking, why are you taking your content away from Netflix? Why are you taking Clone Wars and Rebels and all this stuff away from other platforms? Well, that's because we're starting Disney Plus. When Disney Plus started, that's when they decided, Dave, we need you at the head of story. Kathleen got a promotion. We need to move everybody accordingly. We're bringing in Jon Favreau. He's got this great idea. You guys should talk. Thus, the birth of Disney Plus, right? Mando was the first show that really came out on Disney Plus for Star Wars, right? Because Clone Wars was over, Rebels was over, right? All of these other shows, the sequels were the newest thing on the platform. They came out with Mando, and that exploded the Star Wars platform. And then they're like, okay, Mando worked. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. You're getting season 7 of Clone Wars. We're going to do Bad Batch. We're starting to re-amp this stuff because we have our own platform. Before Disney Plus, there was no platform for Disney to put out content unless they were going to ship it to Netflix or ship it to Hulu or ship it to somebody else. They didn't have a platform to air their content. That's when Dave got his promotion. When Disney Plus finally had a place of their own to promote their content. That's when Dave got his bump. And yeah, it wasn't a big news source. It wasn't a big story because they were focusing on Disney Plus. They were focusing on these shorter run content, which is not what Lucasfilm was good at. They had to figure it out. So, yes, everybody's right. Kathleen didn't talk about Dave in as positive a light before now. She was more stroking Favreau's ego. Now that he has had his platform to build and now his story is coming to fruition. Look, everybody's shitting on the sequels. That's Kathleen's run. Great. He's building a bridge between that and the fandom in Mandalorian, the fandom in the OG trilogy. He's trying to build this bridge. She is not sitting here telling him he's building it wrong. At this point, she is doing what a CEO does. She's pumping the projects. She's trying to keep people interested. Sometimes does she get a little woke? Yes. Sometimes does she get a little, arrogant? Yes. But she's also created this platform that we have to enjoy and to watch all this stuff, because without her and the decisions that she's made, we wouldn't have any of this, right? Mando wouldn't exist without her, because
I'm building an amazing bridge right here because I triggered the shit out of Hawk in order just to say, Feige's better, you bitch. Don't talk shit when I'm not here.
But Feige's not better. Feige's in his rut, bro.
But what do you? But seriously, on that take, like, what do you blame Feige for, and what do you not blame Feige for? Because those arguments are the exact opposite that people do.
I definitely never
not
had
gonna disagree.
any issue with his PR skills.
And Feige gets because he doesn't say anything. He never says anything.
But again, he said we didn't even have time to talk about mutants, and he hasn't said shit about mutants.
He never does an interview, though. That's the difference between Feige and Kathleen. Is Kathleen goes and does these interviews. Feige doesn't. Feige doesn't say nothing about nothing. I can't remember the last Feige interview.
And I'm not mad at people for having this opinion of Kathy. I just take my opinion is based on the words that come out of these people's mouths. It's like the way people treat James Gunn. It's the way people treat James Gunn on Twitter. It's actually the way people have been treating David Ayer for years on Twitter. His Suicide Squad movie was butchered, and he will die on that hill, and people still don't believe him. Like, I'm listening to the creators. I'm listening to the people doing the jobs, not the opinions of these other people. And I also don't want to sit here and talk to chat and educate chat about what the definition of a goddamn CEO is. Like, I went to school for that kind of stuff. We can Google that kind of shit. I want to talk about theory, where the story's going, what people are hyped about. Like, what are we doing? We're going to talk about KK forever. And then when the next person comes in and they start pushing all their personal images and stuff, like, we're going to talk about that too. That's not what I want to do, man.
Okay, so what are the leaks then? So what, the Mythosaur, what are the leaks?
Gideon.
What are you talking about leaks?
Gideon's a
leak. What are we talking about in the next 2 episodes for payoffs?
Are we talking about leaks?
For payoffs to payoff, spoilers, man. For payoffs to pay off, we need a Mythosaur scene and we need a Moff Gideon scene. Does Moff Gideon ride the Mythosaur? Get at me, chat. Come on. Does
the Mythosaur eat Moff Gideon?
Well, okay.
Out of a porta potty.
So this is the ongoing. This is the ongoing argument, or the ongoing theory, is that are we going to have a Thrawn versus Snoke at some point in this story, right? Because both of these villains, both of these characters are at the same time, right? Ahsoka's journey is finding Thrawn, finding Ezra, so on and so forth. At the same time, we have Gideon and what looks like the cloning on Mount Tantus and the birth of Snoke. do we get in this series, or is this going to be the cinematic down the road that has these two factions against each other? And is it going to be the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of thing, where some of the rebels and such fight on the side of Snoke because they know Thrawn and how evil he is, and maybe Luke fights on the side of Thrawn because of Snoke's evil? Like, is this going to be a civil war between the characters we know? Is this going to be just an Imperial civil war? Are the rebels going to stay out of it? Is the New Republic going to stay out of it? This is
There's a 30-year gap to fill.
well, and these two entities are literally coming to life now, right? Thrawn making his way back to the galaxy now, post Empire. Ahsoka's out in the world looking for him with Sabine. At the same time, Din Djarin is searching for Moff Gideon.
The more people talk about this Thrawn versus Snoke shit, I am intrigued as hell, bro. Like, if we see his creation, like, we don't know how he operated in public at all whatsoever. If he
Who,
did
Snoke?
at all.
Who-
Yeah, like
yeah.
I want to say some books said he was a part of like the Senate and things and decisions that were made, and
Was it
he
Ian
had
McDermott that said,
with Leia.
somebody at Celebration said, Snoke is to Palpatine what Father, or Palpatine is to Snoke what Father is to Son.
Yeah,
That's
he
the
did say that
relationship.
Snoke is like the son. Mm-hmm.
So is Snoke the very first Palpatine clone? Like actual,
It's way
walking.
too ugly for the Senate.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, we heard. I thought someone said at one point he was handsome. Andy Serkis, like I think Andy Serkis knows the backstory,
And
where they
Luke,
have kind of
is the
something
one that disfigured him, right?
that. But yes, and again, these are Snoke's words in a comic, so we don't know he was trying to manipulate Ben Solo, etc., etc. But
They talk
so
about him in
that could be changed.
sequels like he should just know who he is.
Yeah, I know, and like, but we never see him as like a public figure. It's always like Hux or somebody else. Like,
Yeah,
I'm curious if before he subdued these quote unquote injuries, if he was a more of a face like Palpatine, or did Palpatine take his death as a lesson to just be like the wizard behind it and thing?
well, it definitely feels like.
Where's the Battle of Jakku, man?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If we are supposed to see Star Destroyers in the wasteland of Jakku, if we're supposed to see these kind of things, who is defeating these Star Destroyers, right? The New Republic seems to be not necessarily disarming themselves by destroying Star Destroyers and things like that, but it
Well, this
seems
was like the
like,
big final thing, so I think it was after that. But
my point
yeah,
is that
Mon Mothma definitely has plans.
how would it be Star Destroyer like is my point. If the New Republic is fighting, there would be New Republic ships there also that had fallen, not just Imperial looking ships on Jakku. So for me, this fight between Imperials, basically this fight for the head of the table, could be what we get in this Filoni-verse movie, right? We could get this big battle where we're watching these two entities fight and our heroes picking a side here and there, not necessarily getting fully involved, but orchestrating, little missions here and there in the movie. It just feels like they have to iron out who's in charge at some point. If they're going heir to the Empire route, right, which we heard in the story, we heard in the trailer, then Mando's got a lot of work to do in the next couple years to get us to this point, right? Moff Gideon and Snoke has to appear. We have to see a young Ben Solo. We have to see Luke's temple, right? Like, all of these things have to come into vision if this is where we're going. And I have no doubt that Snoke is a Mando show release. I think we're going to see Snoke before we see Thrawn and Mando.
Do we have to go that route though?
What other route is there?
We're getting Thrawn like.
Well, what if Thrawn's not trying to
soon.
come back? What if he's trying to get more reinforcement for where he's at?
Even still, though, I mean, the Emperor Snoke doesn't care about the outer rim, doesn't care about the outside of the galactic. He wants to
Thrawn
control the
doesn't care about the galaxy. He cares about the shits.
right, right.
So
But he's still in control of Imperials, right? I mean, that's the thing. He may not want this. He may not want to go to war with a Snoke, with a First Order. He may have no other choice. That's what I'm saying. Could we see our rebel friends picking a side we didn't expect them to pick because Thrawn is trying to protect the galaxy from something bigger and Snoke is trying to control the galaxy the way that it was during the Empire, right? That's what I'm saying. The enemy of my enemy sometimes is a war mentality. So I feel like these two factions have to battle it out at some point. At some point, we're going to have to see somebody take over.
I heard things already about the next episode. I know a thing that's coming.
Yeah, I don't know nothing.
I want to say it.
Say it. I don't care. Cover your ears, chat.
Haven't we already talked about? We've talked about armor that leaked from Jason Ward. Long time ago.
Talking about armor? You're talking about
Yeah,
that
armor.
that black Mandalorian armor?
Well, it wasn't just black. It was a certain other color.
You talking about the
I've heard it
Mandalorian?
all too. I just don't know if you want to.
It wasn't Mandalorian, but color scheme was kind of interesting.
Yeah, dude.
You don't remember seeing those helmets on the table?
Session, you avoid spoilers like crazy. Like we literally know everything that happens.
I don't pay attention enough. I guess I'm not surfing the Twitterverse enough, or I'm not.
I don't think you want us to go there.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I think.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't really follow those. I don't watch all of Jason's stuff.
Okay, well, if you want to hit read chat, if not, ignore your chat.
I mean, to me, it doesn't matter. Like for me, it's I'm going to enjoy it either way.
Well, it's going to trigger a lot of people too. So.
Well, but that's what everybody has been saying. Everybody's been saying that this episode is going to trigger the fandom and divide the fandom. What did I hear?
I'm pretty sure they say the word.
I heard
this season finale of The Mandalorian is going to divide the fandom more than The Last Jedi.
I don't think it will.
That's what I heard.
I think they're going down a road. They're heading in a direction. We still don't know the full direction they're going. It gets set up like a number of different ways they can go, but they're going somewhere.
Mandalorian.
No, repronounce that. All right. Anyways, moving on.
Well, I mean, look, you guys already know what we're gonna see these next couple of weeks, so I can't be like, "Oh, what are we gonna see?" Because you guys already know.
I'm hoping that doesn't kill my theory, though.
What's that?
The rhyming with.
Okay, Obsession, you're coming to the dark side. I'm gonna talk about it.
That's fine.
Okay,
I mean,
chat.
what else are we gonna talk about? If I'm sitting here guessing, you guys are like, "You're getting warmer."
Okay, chat. Earmuffs if you don't want to hear, I guess. But I think we all.
Yeah, if you don't want to hear spoilers, get the hell out of here now.
Yeah. I mean, there's a Star Wars theory. I'm sure they're not talking about it.
So months ago.
This isn't theory. They showed this.
Jason Ward's got photos of red Mandalorian helmets, and what they're also saying is that it's the earliest
is this the
Praetorian guards.
There's more than that.
What do you mean more than that?
The Moff.
The Mandalorian?
The Moff
Gideons. Yes, Moff Gideon is with them. So
Right.
Well, even more than that.
I caught that months ago. Yes, I caught that.
Even more than that, he says.
How much do you know?
Well, so
I guess I know what they showed in the episode.
Is this Moff Gideon donning the horned Mandalorian helmet? Is this what we're talking about?
I don't know if it's horns, but
I don't think it goes that far.
He's gonna have a helmet and armor.
So okay, so
I don't think he's in this next episode though. It's a name drop to him. I believe.
With that being said, are we? Oh, I didn't know Matt was live today. Son of a bitch! I don't like going at the same time as the homies.
Yeah, Don, you're in Santa's thing today too. He just went over the whole damn thing. Like you're not gonna beat him in predictions this week.
So
I'm gonna bother.
is the consensus that Moff Gideon is Mandalorian?
Or that he is in line with the Empire, aka Snoke, aka Praetorian.
No, so there's like there's
We're
gonna be
spoiling this,
divide.
say it.
There's gonna be a divide within the remnants over which route to go. The clone
remnant of the
route or the
Empire.
Thrawn. Yeah, the clone
Right.
route or the Thrawn route. You're gonna see some people. It's in what is it? The Shadow. I can't think of the whole thing.
The Shadow Lake Collective? The Shadow.
Basically, like the heads of like all these dudes that are in the Empire, like all the leaders.
Oh, you're talking about like all the Moffs, all the local governors.
I can go on for a lot here. Just stop me if you don't want to hear it. But you're gonna see some kinship of General Hux tied to this
I
episode.
heard that. I heard Brendel, but I thought he was dead. But
there's definitely gonna be a name drop to somebody that rhymes with Dawn.
That rhymes with what?
With Dawn.
Thrawn.
Yeah, like I said.
Yeah, the name drops. Yes.
From what I heard, Gideon is going to be more on the line with like bringing the Empire back or the Emperor back in some way through cloning.
Yeah.
But there's other members that want Thrawn.
Dude.
The air.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's a rift like that. But that doesn't necessarily mean we're going. Like, I don't know.
Listen, Dave Filoni's movie could just be the Battle of Jakku.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Look, it seems like
that's crazy.
These two factions have to fight it out, right? They have to figure it out.
Or one has to go into the beyond, and one has to stay.
Whatever, yes, whatever the case is, but it seems like I don't see that kind of stuff dividing the fandom, right? I don't see that. That's what I'm saying. Is
I don't think they know what will divide the fandom anymore.
No, apparently the content creators know what's going to divide the fandom. Because that's correct. But that's what I've been hearing all week is that this episode is going to divide fans more than The Last Jedi. This finale.
Do you want to know who dies?
It doesn't bother me. I hope everybody dies at some point. I hope this is like
nah, save that.
I hope this is like
I really don't know much about this, but if they're name dropping or if they bring in a Brendel Hux, that's how we get Rey Sloane. That's how we get all these other people that were higher ups in the Remnant, like right out of the video game. So I'm hyped for that.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's
spoiler alert, Omega dies.
Oh my god, not Omega.
Spoiler. Clones are expendable.
As she should.
Spoiler alert, there's lots of clones. Yeah, I mean, look, to me it doesn't I have no expectations. That's part of it. And I think these kind of conversations build expectation. Right? To me it doesn't matter.
Tarkin?
Huh?
Are we gonna get CGI Tarkin? I love that.
I mean,
live action Tarkin.
He's already dead, man.
Oh, in this part of the timeline? My bad. People are talking about Bad Batch parallels, and honestly, I wouldn't even know what they were.
It's poetry.
Well, I mean, the summit. I've seen a couple of thumbnails that are questioning is Thrawn arriving at Mount Tantus, right?
Oh. Yeah, that's what I was saying because he was sitting around the table with Tarkin and Hemlock and.
Yeah, but that was during the war. But yeah, I mean, I've seen thumbnails that are like, is this Tantus in the corner when Thrawn's walking through? Look, the thing I've learned about Lucasfilm and Star Wars is that as much as we think that we know what's going to happen and the leaks and the spoilers come out, they're not always what we think they are. They're not always what Jason and all of these other guys that have an inside track to these shows, it's not always what they say it is.
Yeah, right? Grogu might not look like Krang from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I mean, the IG-11, Megazord might not happen, right? That I'm all about that. But then, yeah, if we get to this cross section where it's, the Imperials making a decision on who's going to lead them, I expect that kind of stuff. I don't need the episodes to be what I want. I need the episodes to carry the story that these guys are trying to tell. And for me, I go into these things with very low expectations on what I think it's supposed to be. I think this is where a lot of fans start disliking things. Oh, I didn't like how they did that. I would have done it like this. Well, then go write a screenplay.
See, I think if you're building yourself up to thinking we're going to get a massive fight between the First Order and Thrawn's forces, and then somehow Rebels or the New Republic intervening, you're setting yourself up for failure right away, because how the hell, like, they don't have a standing army 30 years later.
Yeah,
and
there
they
is
don't have
no
one now.
yeah.
It's not happening.
And what is left of the Empire, actually Palpatine had a contingency to wipe it out, and it was the Battle of Jakku. So
That's why I think Ahsoka could be like a more interesting cross section between, like, these dudes are coming here to pull forces and resources to Thrawn, and Ahsoka's trying to get there too, to get Ezra and stop Thrawn from doing whatever hideous thing she thinks he's gonna do. And maybe when she finally gets there, in like a season down the road or wherever we land on, or the movie, then it's something like crazier than we even thought, and it's a fight with like those people in that part of the galaxy.
Yeah, look, the fact that we are going to be springboarding somewhere, whether it's the Great Beyond, whether it's Exegol, right? Whether it's, Mount Tantus, the fact is the story is going somewhere.
Yeah.
For me, all of these things coalescing, all of the stuff that Dave has written on these whiteboards, all of this stuff means something. If you think that Dave writes these stories and the people at Lucasfilm write these stories that aren't going to intersect or, you know, pan out in some way, that's cool. But for me, it's way more about these guys are looking to connect these dots. These two guys that are writing these stories and that are ushering in this new era, they watched the sequels. They watched the fandom after the sequels. And yes, a Rey movie probably makes people mad. Cool. Maybe Dave's movie
What they do with it.
will bridge the gap between the movies and this time to make everything make a little more sense. They're going back further to the dawn of the Force, right? So there's so much room that this story in particular, these two, Ahsoka and Mando, I've kind of always felt, especially after the first time we see Ahsoka, I kind of felt like these two stories were almost, intertwined. Right? We're going to see more of Din Djarin potentially in Ahsoka. We're going to see more of Ahsoka in The Mandalorian potentially. These, yeah, I mean,
Objection, hearsay.
sustained. But yeah, look, these stories, these guys have a map that they're trying to take to the sequels and beyond. So for me, I'm just enjoying the ride. Dave is going to tell the story that I think in the end, I feel like a lot of these stories are going to make a lot more sense when all the cards are on the table. We're in the middle of a book. You can't judge the entirety of a story in the middle of a book based on one chapter or one part of a chapter. So to me, people get mad, well, I mean, look, there were a lot of good things announced at Celebration, but there were some things that upset people. Rey being pregnant, Rey having, her own council, Rey starting the New Order, a Rey movie at all really chaps people's ass. The fact that Kathleen is still there talking at all makes people upset. I saw nothing but fantastic stuff coming from Celebration. The Acolyte, Visions 2, uh Bad
You
Batch
can't
Season
call
3.
anybody a Mary Sue. It's Ray.
I mean,
That's you got a valid argument if you try saying
you
Ray.
got Palpatine's blood, man.
I could
mean,
argue it. I could
I,
argue against it.
I mean, you got Palpatine's blood, man. Those are
Guess
some high.
everybody
I mean-
deserves a defense, huh?
Well, I'm just saying that's like calling Aladdin. You're calling Aladdin a Mary Sue on his own planet.
Wow.
What makes her a Mary Sue outside of being able to fight? I don't know.
You want to go
She
here?
grew up by her damn self. I would hope she'd be able to fight.
Tell me
Well,
any
I don't
other
know.
Jedi that knew how
People's-
to do a Jedi mind trick without any sort of training.
Tell me any other Jedi who just had this shit awaken in
mean-
themselves.
Yeah, it didn't make sense. That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
We're gonna find out in 25,000 years in the past, so it's gonna make sense to somebody somewhere.
was it really
Revisionist history.
a Jedi mind trick, or was it just defense to a Jedi mind trick?
She
right?
tried it 3 times and it worked. 2 times.
Okay,
And she
but
did it to Daniel Craig of all people.
can you argue that Kylo Ren unlocked the door?
That's what happened. She's not normal.
Right?
No.
Like she's not like a normal person, right? She's got all this hidden shit. But and for some reason everything works out for her, right? She's still living, she's a little kid, everything's kind of worked out for
Are you
her.
going to the dyad right now?
No.
You ever see that movie, The
But I'm
Cell?
saying,
If you're gonna make an argument for it, the only thing I had in my mind when I was like still fully on board in Force Awakens was, all right, there's all this dark side, and all the light side users have pretty much been demolished. So the
Yeah.
Force kind of has to rise up to even with it. That's the
Right.
only thing I had, but
But
it was still kind of crazy.
did Kylo Ren sitting her in that chair, because before that moment
Snoke explains it.
she hadn't really shown anything, right? Even when he was chasing her, she didn't really use any force abilities. She had a force vision when she touched the saber, but that's more the saber than her.
Oh, that's the other thing too. She sits her in the chair before she's ever done anything force wise. He
and
goes
resist.
to tap into her mind and stops her. It's like, what?
Well, she stops him because she starts saying what he's thinking. It's like she's trying to resist, and all of a
Her
sudden,
body starts reacting in a self-defense mechanism.
right? And so
her body now understands that there's something else going on inside of her that was never there.
I think all she did was
She
try.
got bit by a radioactive spider. All of a sudden, she's got spider sense.
I mean, look, I
And
feel
that's a
like
perfectly acceptable way to get your abilities, right?
I feel like
It is. There's no spider.
he tries this thing on her in the chair. It's like, you're gonna tell me where Skywalker is. She's like, no. And he's like, you're gonna tell me where Skywalker is. And she's like, no. And then he does it a third time, and she's like, she tells him what he's afraid of. Okay. And then
Yes.
fast forward a little bit, she's sitting in a room with a stormtrooper, and she's like, hey, you're gonna let me go. And he's like, shut up, bitch. And then he's like, no, you're gonna let me go. And she's like, I'll hit you with this rifle, bitch. And then she's like, no, really, you're gonna let me go. And then on the third try, it works, right? Like,
You know what this generation is missing?
Mine too, Sabersmiths, because these guys are explaining it
Like
terribly.
we used to have like parody movies. Like, where are the Wayans brothers? We used to make fun of every genre all the time. We need like a Sun Battles movie, and like that scene happens, and he's like, "Tell me, you're gonna tell me where Skywalker is," and then she's like, "You're
No one
gonna
in
tell
chat
me where
actually wants to
Skywalker is."
explain to them either. So
We need Spaceballs back.
we need Spaceballs. We need Max Brooks to make a new Spaceballs.
Yes. This time he's got to get permission from Dave Filoni
yeah.
Look,
to not get sued.
did they get sued for Spaceballs?
No, he got permission from George Lucas.
Okay, copy that.
He had like one stipulation. It was something like crazy. And then it was he couldn't make the main character look like Han Solo, so he made him look like Indiana Jones instead. that was what he did make fun of it.
Mel Brooks is great. Yeah, I mean, look, tomorrow night, I know that this show, I'm hoping we get more than just the Thrawn Gideon stuff going forward. I think, I really hope we get the Mandalorians meeting up on Navarro, because I think we've seen all the trailer footage at this point, right? I don't think there's any more trailer footage. I think going to this last planet was the last scene we hadn't seen. So at this point, are we going to see the Bo-Katan, the Night Owls, go to Navarro to meet up with the rest of the covert? Mm-hmm. Are they going to?
Nerd Mafia is going to tell us. He knows everything.
Are they going?
No.
Are they going to? Are they going to have some more Mandalorian on Mandalorian crime?
See, I thought this was going to be the talkie that Bo-Katan had with Chris Lloyd about the rest of the Mandalorians they needed. But apparently there's only the Night Owls and the crazy cult people, you know?
And apparently now everybody follows Bo-Katan, so layup.
I mean, I mean, are we going to see any Mandalorian on Mandalorian crime? You're going to have,
I don't
30,
think so.
30
I'm
Mandalorian.
giving up on it. I'm giving up on my evil Bo-Katan theory. It's lame. I don't know.
Told you. Can't hate that ass.
I mean,
I hate the fact that, like, I don't know. I just want the savage Bo-Katan back. I like me some Angry
too.
Rick, bro. I don't know. Like, I love me Angry Rick. Just
well, okay, so you don't think we're going to get more of that savage Bo-Katan?
savage as in, like, this is my goddamn Mandalore and nobody else's. That's what I want.
Well, I mean, you don't think we're going to get that
I'm
with
taking back my planet and my people.
with the
And
Moff Gideon?
you, Din, nobody's stopping me. That's what I
So
want.
you don't think there'll be a challenge?
No.
You don't think
Not
there'll
at
be
all.
another challenge?
No. Who hasn't she impressed yet?
Well, I mean,
Who has this Mary Sue not impressed yet?
I'm just saying, you know, if Paz obviously got his ass kicked by Din, and you know, so he's not going to fight Din again. So does Paz take a crack at it, and you know, thinking he could beat up a girl?
I mean, didn't he just like stand up in front of everybody and drop his pants?
That doesn't mean that he doesn't want that. You know, just because he agreed to go.
She saved his son, bro. It's just not gonna.
I mean, I'm just saying, it's, you know,
It's the highest honor of the Mandalore. Like,
I mean, I'm just, you know,
she is
See the pickle
Rey.
right over here.
She is the Rey Palpatine Skywalker of the Mandalorians.
Pickle Rick, is that who we're talking about?
You see
No,
that one
highlight
pickle
my
to
comment.
the-
Oh,
where it
Angry
says-
Rick? Angry Rick
No.
Grimes?
Yes. No
You
soft
don't,
Rick.
you don't got an
Crazy
emoji.
Rick.
Right?
I mean, look, I am interested in seeing a fleet of Mandalorian starfighters and a couple Imperial ships land
Dude,
on
they had a
Navarro.
lot of ships, huh?
They had a lot of ships.
They kind of
They had
did.
a lot of Mandalorian starcraft, and they
I
had
liked that.
the ship that they stole when they first introduced Bo-Katan, and then they had Moff Gideon's light cruiser. So they've got some power.
So what if? Bear with me. So what if they get in a battle and they just all die? It's just Din. He's back to being the Mandalorian again.
Grogu on their own. I would like to see the armorer start cranking out some new armor. That's what I would like.
Get herself
They
some weapons.
gotta locate the Beskar first, man. There's so much they have to do in the next 2 episodes.
That's why they need Mandalore.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, here's the thing: is that she talks about a sister forge. I mean, apparently there's forges all over the place because she's got a forge everywhere, and no ship to carry it around. So apparently there's just forges everywhere. But you know, she talks about was that conversation with Bo about the foundries on Mandalore. Is that a prelude to us potentially seeing the armor and the rest of them return to Mandalore, and then seeing her fire up the foundries of the old Mandalores? Like, are they going back to Mandalore at the end of the season?
I think that's where their plan is to go.
According to my theory, this guy Nerd Mafia put it out there They're going to Mandalore and they're going to fight the Mandalorian Imperial remnants for Mandalore.
Okay, so Moff Gideon's crew is sitting in the
I think he's
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian too, for the record.
You do think
I
Moff
would
Gideon's
love that.
Mandalorian?
I'm not basing that off anything I heard. Like I think he is one.
So is he the son of maybe one of the Mandalorians that swore allegiance to Bo-Katan?
Doesn't have to be a son, just could be a guy that rose up, and that ties more into my theory too. Like there's Imperial Mandalorian remnants still.
Okay, well let's take a look then.
And they tricked like think about what's the best propaganda machine in the galaxy? The Empire. They tricked everybody into thinking Mandalore is poison.
Right. Yep. Yes, they did.
Done.
Mm-hmm.
And that allows them to have Mandalore to themselves.
Yep.
Now let's see, we're gonna find it. Hold on. That's Dathomir. That's where are we going for? I want to say it's before that. No, it's not Trials of the Darksaber. Okay, there we go. I think it's this one. Okay, so this is perfect timing. Okay, so could it be? Oh man, this is gonna blow some mind holes. Oh man. Star Wars blowing up brains.
By the way, I super chatted Sheev, telling him this is a donation for your next spray tan.
Yeah.
I can see the anger in his face.
Is he hot right now too?
He was definitely pissed at me for a good couple minutes.
Okay. Is this could this be Moff Gideon?
Because it's a black Mandalorian, not
the face
accent.
He's got to come from somewhere, bro. I'm just saying. He's got to come from somewhere.
Happy right
I mean, you're the one that said he was a follower, potentially.
You know,
Mandalore.
That's what I'm saying. If he's a follower of Mandalore, is he this guy's descendant? Right? Could it be this guy's descendant? I mean, look how far forward we are. Bo-Katan was still pretty young at this time. Could this be, a
well, isn't Gideon older than her?
Yeah.
Hold on.
He's older than her right here, probably.
This
is just really funny because you picked out the one black.
This is the only time we see a black Mandalorian in Rebels. I'm sorry. Like this is the latest shot of the family.
He's actually the bastard Mandalorian son of Lando.
Again, this is the only time we
got
see
it in with some Mandalorians.
This is the only time we see other clans of Mandalore.
Finn is right? Lando has many bastards in Star Wars.
So we get to this point in the story and we see all these people swearing allegiance to her.
He looks pissed.
Right? Not saying that it's him. I'm saying
that's the thing. Like there were people, I'm sure, standing around watching her being handed the saber that were like, what?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like
that's not how this works.
My point being is that could that be a descendant of Moff? Could that be one of Moff Gideon's ancestors? Is my point. Right? If the blame, if we hear the armorer talk about the blame that goes on Bo-Katan for the destruction of Mandalore, for them losing their planet because she cursed them with this, who's to say that some of those remnants weren't also pissed off at her and stayed around and became, part of the Gar Saxon unit, right? Who's to say that's not legitimate?
Sounds like they rounded up or rallied most of the Mandalorians to their cause until we got to learn the whole backstory with Sabine too, like why she's a rebel pilot with no armor after this. So, like, is her family even alive? Like, you see her in Ahsoka, and she's not donning Mandalorian armor anymore. She's blue. She's wearing a rebel jacket.
I've seen her in the armor.
You've seen her with it, in it, and out of it.
We're gonna
got long hair.
We've seen her in it unless it was a really good edit.
Yeah,
Oh,
so in the shorter trailer, she's got her long hair and a rebel coat.
okay.
Maybe in the full suit jumpsuit, I wasn't sure. It
Maybe I
looked like
saw a
kind of
leak.
her own twist. No, you saw the extended trailer. It
Okay.
has her with the short
She
hair.
cuts her hair, right?
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
there. We were talking about this earlier. Somebody they think it might be just like different times.
Something dark.
A flashback of her even.
This is a new big.
Or that this is Ahsoka right after they pull her out of timeline. But I don't know.
So
I
that
mean,
pauldron is not her armor, and that helmet
yeah,
is not
she's
her
Hey,
wearing
armor.
armor.
there's another scene. It's not just this one.
Okay, but she's wearing armor there.
You're not saying that she doesn't have it.
Yeah, I'm saying there's two parts. You'll see her with it, like a rebel suit. I think it's getting close.
There.
Right here. Yeah.
Back up.
She's got like a top gun jacket.
It's been
Right
a while.
Talking about here.
Boom. That's a rebel jacket.
Things have changed.
But she's also giving the speech. She's also giving the speech in the epilogue about the wars that she was fighting in too. So I'm sure she's just.
Hey, she was fighting a war the whole time in Rebels, and she had that Mando armor.
At the same time,
I
I
think she just
feel
walks around in her Mandalorian armor all the time if she's not going
Damn
to
right.
fight somebody.
I feel like it's
The
very
cartoon,
much.
she never took it
The
off.
war is over though at this point.
Yeah, for her, I feel like she's a protector of Lothal. They're not. She's not necessarily like here. I mean,
Not
you know,
down with the
But
Mando.
she's still got that thing on her when she's ready, bro.
I think it's as simple as
Still
that.
dust that
That's
helmet
just
off.
her Lethalian gear.
I think sitting on Lothal, feeling safe in her home. Yeah, for sure, because this is 100% Ezra's apartment on Lothal, right? So when she's home, when she's at the mural,
Yeah, I think she's got it
Ahsoka's
turned. I think
penthouse.
she's
Or,
actually.
Ezra's penthouse.
this is Ezra's penthouse. It absolutely is. I mean, you
I
see
think
her.
the switch is turned off, and right here is her turning it back on.
Yeah.
Like
I think
this
she
is the
cuts her
moment
hair
before
honestly,
she
in the scene.
goes with Ahsoka to get.
I
Ezra,
feel like
because
this is
Ahsoka
very.
now knows how to get there.
I feel like this is very much. I feel like this scene right here is very much similar to the Kanan scene in Rebels when Kanan cuts his hair right before his
For
death,
sure.
right before
Clippers are
he's
coming out like right here.
yeah, like she's definitely going to break out her vibro blade right here and 100% cut her hair short before meeting Ahsoka at the mural that she painted for Ezra.
You look closely at that too. It actually kind of looks like that orange is just extensions.
Oh, for sure.
Mhm.
100%. But at the same time, she's got her armor back on. She's looking at the helmet. It's almost a ritualistic, right? It's almost like, as silly as this is going to sound, so stupid. But as the scene of John Wick getting his gear back after he dumps it, he buries it in his basement. This scene has that very same feel to me. This scene is like, hello, darkness, my old
Yo.
friend, right? Like I haven't put you on since Ezra's been gone, since you saved Lothal. It's time to.
I'm a believer that they're meeting after this Mandalorian stuff. Like, is that where you're at with this? Or it's at least in the same, it's in the relative same couple months, etc.
It's in the
I'm a
same
little
vein.
bummed out. I was gonna say, I feel like because we're seeing her like this, we ain't getting this being.
Well, so what I was
shout-outs to
thinking
Red
is that it would be kind of cool if Sabine has kind of walked away from the way, or walked away because really in her mind, like there's probably not any Mandalorians that she knows survived much of anything. So it would be cool if Ahsoka informs her, no, actually, there is something still going on. And then she's like,
Well, at
and
this
goes
point,
in, she's like
Mandalore
in armor again.
at this point, Mandalore is glass to her, right? No,
Right.
everybody on
What if she
Mandalore.
walked away from all of that and gave it up? And now this is like Ahsoka, like reinvigorating that fire in her and telling her she knows where Ezra is. Like,
That's
we're
what
gonna
I'm
get
saying.
Sabine, like full blown Sabine.
That's kind of how I feel. Is that her? Because even in the epilogue of Rebels, she's talking about, I didn't know what Ezra meant by "I'm counting on you." I thought that was to protect the people and the planet that he loved.
Mm.
But now I'm starting to think it's something different. And now it's time to bring him home, right? That's the whole epilogue in a nutshell. So what she did the entire time Ezra's been gone, they didn't go looking for him. He didn't want them to go looking for him. So what happens? Zeb, we find out Zeb is basically part of the First Order or the new
That'd be a
resistance.
twist, man.
Yeah, right. Zeb and Callus go back to the First Order. So Zeb is now a pilot, right? Part of what Delta Squadron or part of, I don't remember where they were, that outpost, but he's on that outpost. Hera is raising her kid with Chopper in the Ghost wherever they go. It seems like the band broke up after Ezra left, right? Kanan and Ezra are dead. There's a Jason Syndulla to raise. Sabine is promised to protect Lothal. Zeb joins the Republic, becoming an officer. So at this point, it feels like it's almost, this story of Ahsoka is almost the band getting back together.
I just
Right?
want to know if Mama, Papa, and Baby Bro Ren are alive, man.
Who's that?
Mama, Papa, and Baby Bro Ren. I want to know if they made it. Her brother.
Oh, of Sabine Wren's family, you mean?
Oh, that could be another
Talk a
reason.
little bit
many-
faster. You listen a little bit faster. You keep up.
Well, listen, there are so many Wrens now in Star Wars. You have to specify.
Well, but at the same time, that would be another brilliant
Kylo Ren.
reason.
Knights of Ren.
That would be another reason for Sabine to step away, right? Is that her whole family is dead essentially, and
That's what I'm hoping isn't the case. Are they
I mean, it
on like
She looks
Mandalore?
kinda
Yeah,
somber.
they are.
Yeah.
On Mandalore, huh? They're not.
they
on
were. I
Lunar or
mean,
anything?
they were part of Bo-Katan's crew, so they could have absolutely been extinguished in the Night of a Thousand Tears while she was on Lothal protecting Lothal. So ultimately, it seems like Sabine, very much like John Wick, Sabine retired her armor and became, almost like a guardian of Lothal.
You keep talking about John Wick, and you're making me concerned about this little cat.
And
Bro. Like,
and and when she sees Ahsoka show up, she goes to meet her in the city of Lothal, but then she tells her what's going on. She's, basically says, look, Thrawn is back, which means where's Ezra? So we need to go find Thrawn.
you know, a thought I just got in my head too. Like she's donning like basically like she's a Lothal ranger, and she just stands up on like Ezra's like porch, and she's just like, "I am the darkness."
She's got a big sniper rifle.
It just seems like that scene that we see, I'll go back to this scene again. It seems like this scene is very ritualistic, right? It seems like if you piece a couple of these scenes together,
It's very
mainly
much photoshoppable too.
well, and mainly like, where is it?
Any dirty ways.
It seems like this scene is immediately after
Yeah,
she's
after they
talking
meet.
to Ahsoka at the Capitol.
Or
Right.
before.
No, after.
Like
Right? Why would she be looking at this picture of Ezra before Ahsoka shows up? Right? This scene
I looks at that picture every day, bro. I'm just saying.
could be could be an everyday thing, but
she's looking at it before Ahsoka shows up in the epilogue.
This is like her having her cup of coffee in the morning.
I mean, it could be, but it also seems like that scene, where are you? This scene here, where are you? Same clothes. Right? Like orange shirt, yellow pants. Right.
Yeah, so she's chilling, having a cup of coffee. A droid comes in and goes, there's a Jedi here.
Same orange orange shirt, yellow pants. It just seems like that would go first. She comes back, looks at the recording that Ezra gave her, and then gets ready to go find Ezra. I saw an extended scene. I think that was from the Celebration trailer that showed Sabine and one of the new Sith and she's in front of the house, and she lights Ezra's lightsaber as the Inquisitor lights his orange lightsaber, and I lost my fucking mind. I have been dying to see Sabine fight with Ezra's lightsaber.
Yep, I'm ready for it, man.
So we are going to go real quick. We are going to jump into the Twitter sphere. We are going to see what I can find, if I can find that clip.
You can go to
Which
the
clip?
Discord sphere. She's got it.
Which one?
She's got the whole thing in his Discord.
Uh-huh.
Sheev has a whole thing in
Risky for the
Discord.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Shout out if you don't know, join Vader's Lair Discord.
damn it. I don't know why when I'm in dark mode. All right, let's try detaching you from the rest.
My lights were so bad for so long, I just kept it in light mode. Just keep my face lit up.
I don't know why the rest of the screen won't go light mode. But anyway, so basically we get this. Let me share it. I guess this is the advanced or the more secretive celebration.
Thrawn's return
Godspeed.
Yeah.
as heir to the Empire.
See, so she's picking up Ezra's lightsaber.
Damn.
In the apartment, there's the rail. And that's...
Oh, man.
Wait, go cut back to that real quick. I just want to see if you can see who's in front of her.
It's the dude.
You sure?
Oh, it might be the girl.
I thought there was a scene with her fighting her at some point too. Yeah, Ahsoka's got the dude.
Oh, okay.
Oh, when they show the Inquisitor flying the ship.
That's what I was just saying, bro. So it's not... They're totally different scenes.
Yo!
I love that.
Look at this.
What if...
That's absolutely the eighth brother.
Nobody's talking about that.
What if it's actually Shin?
We gotta get a look at his armor again.
Yeah.
The Jedi fell a long
His
time ago.
shoulders.
I mean, because Shin could.
That looks like. Yeah, maybe.
Oh, so she does fight Shin. That's who that you're right. Right there. That's Sabine fighting Shin.
There aren't many left.
Yo, is that what I think it is?
Yo,
A
it
Lambda
looks
shuttle?
like
Is that a Lambda shuttle?
Yeah, something like that. Or the Reaver, the Inquisitor ship.
She's running into it too.
This is what I was talking about. That's the Inquisitor ship, or is that Shin's ship?
That's a nice butt. I know that. Like we got that coming for us too.
Perhaps it is time to begin again.
Okay.
Oh, you know what I was wondering about too? With Ahsoka's fight with that Inquisitor, what color are her lightsabers?
White.
Are they white still too?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, at this point she has her white sabers. She's locked in at this
Yeah,
point.
just trying to see playing to the flashback theory.
So, look, just based on that scene alone, we get to see Sabine with Ezra's lightsaber. I'm already in. I'm already all in. This is basically going to be basically a sequel to Rebels. That's how I look at this. Yes, it's to see Ahsoka show, but all roads lead to Ezra. So, what did Maximus say? She's hot.
You didn't see the last scene. She has her shirt here. I swear to God, I thought he was gonna say she has her shirt off.
But look, I mean, obviously, now that we've seen that trailer, the fact that we get to see Sabine using Ezra's lightsaber because Ahsoka told her what's here, right? This obviously is after Ahsoka has met these other Dark Jedi or these Sith wannabes.
I got a wager for you, Obsession.
So tee it up. I like betting on shit.
I bet you. We gotta figure out what to wager that she's gonna cut her hair with Ezra's lightsaber.
That would be gangster. That would be gangster.
The dumbest bet ever.
I'm with it, man. I could see it being a very Kanan moment where
like after the fight, she's like.
I mean, look, here's the thing: is she gets away from Shin. So my thing is like, yo, Shin's not that powerful. Number two, why aren't you wearing your armor? Like that. I'm with you on that. On that is like, if we
she is, you don't know.
Well, no, I mean in this scene, it doesn't look like she has her armor on. It looks like she's wearing that same setup that she was wearing when she met Ahsoka.
Tell you, she's like forgot what this.
No, Shin wouldn't be the Inquisitor because she has a different lightsaber. The Inquisitor 100% has the cylindrical.
No, I wouldn't. I think she's staring at her helmet like after the duel. Or wait, does she have her jacket off during the duel?
I mean, that looks like Shin. That looks like Shin versus Sabine.
There's only one green lightsaber in this show.
Oh yeah.
So that's on Lothal for sure.
Pretty cool stuff, man.
I just want to know, like,
you see how Ahsoka's running, chasing them back to the ship and being shot at? But there's more than one person.
Yeah.
After she's chasing an Inquisitor back to their ship and being shot at by the ship.
Shit's crazy, dude. I'm loving everything that is going on with this show so far. I don't see anything that I'm disliking. I
said it once, I said 1,000 times. For like 2-3 years now, I've been saying this is what I'm most excited about from stuff.
Yeah, dude. I mean, this has been the show I think that I have been the most hyped about. Obviously, my favorite character in the fandom. So for me, the fact that Dave has done such a great job, even in the trailer so far, I'm really excited for what's coming. It really looks like, last year, I feel like last year was a great year for Star Wars. I think this year is an even better year for Star Wars. Mando, we're getting Survivor, we're getting Visions 2. I hear more Tales of the Jedi, I hear, is also on the horizon. We're getting Ahsoka in August. Yeah, I think it's great, man. I'm really excited for what's coming.
I saw a tweet earlier about the Bad Batch.
Bad Batch season 3 is coming.
One of the people's editing it said, like, if you could see what I can see right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much good stuff coming, man. I'm hoping that the narrative for the rest of the year stays as positive as it was during Celebration. I know that won't last. I know as soon as Mando comes out tomorrow night, the hate will return, and so I'm really hopeful. I think it's going to be a banger for the rest of the year, and I think today is
cover. Right here.
What does it say?
Sitting here after reviewing dailies just now for a mid-season 3 episode, and you will all be very, very fulfilled. Art, if you only knew who is on my screen as I type this. This is
nice.
Lucasfilm director, cinematography, lighting, and effects.
Sweet.
Yeah, man.
I love it. I'm into it, man. Everything there's not one single thing that came out at Celebration that I am not excited for right now. So I feel like, yep, there you go, Leia. There's just today, this week has just been for you. They did it all for you. Yeah, man, I'm digging it. I love the extended trailer that's in. We get to see, the things that we're getting to see in this season of The Mandalorian are just rad. I'm sorry. I know everybody's really hating on the Jack Blacks and the Lizzos and feeling upset about the Star Wars. But for me, there's, very few scenes that make me very happy. And this is one of them leading out of Celebration that makes me very happy. That's it right there. I'm going to clip that shit because it makes me happy to see this scene that I knew was coming. Look, at the end of Rebels, when Ezra hands his lightsaber to Chop and then Chop gives it to Sabine, I knew this was in our future.
Scotty, why are you depriving us of hearing that sneeze? 3 of them.
That's like 5 or 6 every time.
Right. Perfect. All right, guys. Let's reconvene on Wednesday night if we can. We'll see where we're at. Probably be a later stream that night, probably about 6 Pacific time. So we might go a little later depending on when Matt is done with Way Back Wednesdays. So we will see where we end up. But I am very excited. I'm very excited for this week. I think this week's episode of Mandalorian is going to be a lot of fun based on what the spoilers are saying. It might break the fandom. So I love that because, I love watching people cry about Star Wars. And yeah, so anything you Tarkov Tuesdays, is that what's going on? Escape from Tarkov, is that happening?
I'm gonna stream tomorrow. I'm not sure what game we're gonna play. There's a couple games that I want to play, but I am going to talk about a High Republic character.
Yeah.
There were leaks we didn't talk about tonight for the Acolyte. Just a picture of a character and a name drop. So if you want to know what you should need to know about a High Republic character who will be the first one in live action, turn on notifications and subscribe to my channel.
There you go. Here we go. Yep, do this. Yep, subscribe like this. There you go. Just like that. And then what are you doing? You just dropped a video today, yeah?
Yeah, I just put out a short talking about my theory on who freed Moff Gideon and where we're headed. And I probably should have split it into 2 shorts because I got screwed on that, but it's all good. Check it.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna try to be here for This Is the Way Wednesdays. We'll see. It might be a little later depending on how the real world treats me. We were missing our homies. We're missing Dan and Matt. We're gonna start inviting more folks into Monday and Wednesday night streams. But yeah, man, I can't think of anything else we have to cover right now.
And
You
if we get some Mandalorian Imperials, then I will go out and buy and cook a full rack of ribs and eat it while we do the Wednesday show.
Oh, and I'll try to come back next week with some, or maybe Wednesday with some Visions hype, because there's actually a few of those.
Yes.
There's actually a few of those studios we all know and love, bro. Wallace and Gromit. We're getting Wallace and Gromit Star Wars.
Yep.
We Bear Bears. I don't know if anyone's got young kids, but that studio is doing one of the other ones. So there's some popular stuff in there. But anyway,
There are. Yeah, Visions is coming, which is great. I mean, I don't know if they're going to continue on any of the storylines previous, but
I don't think so.
I think these are all brand new stories, which I'm excited about. And yeah, there's Visions, there's Acolyte. Things that we've seen trailers for, but we're not really getting the full description on. But yeah, we'll definitely get into that whenever. All of that looks fantastic. But for the time being, everybody that's here, jump over to the Matt Cave. He is still playing Resident Evil and has been for about 118 minutes. So
he's trying to beat it tonight. So
I'm going to put the link in the description. There's the link going into the description right now. Everybody jump on over to the Matt Cave, type in raid, and let's give him some watch time and watch hours. If you haven't, get over there and subscribe. Our new goal is to get Matt Cave to 1,000 subscribers. We need to get him on board. He's next in the running. So everybody, as always, thank you for being here. I appreciate my guys Hawks Holocron and Nerd Mafia. We were missing Sheev, we were missing Dan, we were missing Matt. But real life gets us all the time, so no worries. Everybody, as always, thank you for coming. Don't forget, get your pet spayed, neutered, help control the pet population. Love your loved ones. Let them know as much as you can. You never know what tomorrow brings. And as always, may the force be with you. Thank you all for being here.